When we're using advanced trigonometry in non-right-angled triangles, there are two techniques that you need to know: the sine rule and the cosine rule. It's really important to be able to tell when to use which one. The way to remember the sine rule is that it's all about the opposites. We use it when we have a side with an opposite angle and another side with an opposite angle. The way to remember when to use the cosine rule is that it's all about being included. We use this when we've got two sides and the angle in between them. We call this the included angle. In this clip, we're just going to focus on using the cosine rule. This is the formal formula for the cosine rule, which you will see in textbooks and on formula sheets, etc. It's important to realise that lowercase letters are sides and uppercase letters are angles. To be able to use this formula to find a side, you need the other two sides and the angle between them. Let me show you what I mean. If I want to find the length of this side here, I need to know the lengths of these two sides and the size of the included angle. If I wanted to find this side, then I'd need these two and this angle. And for this side, I'd need the other two sides and the included angle. Let me show you how this works in much more detail now by doing a real question. So in this question, I want to find the length of the side x. I can see that I've got the other two sides and the included angle, so I know that I can use the cosine rule. I'm going to use the formula here as a guide to setting up the question. So the side I'm looking for is x. That goes here, so that's x squared. This is equal to either of the other two sides. I can choose this one or this one. I'm going to pick this one. Plus the other of the other two sides, so that's this one now. And you'll notice they're both squared. Take away 2 times both of the sides, so that's 16 and 23, times by the cosine of the included angle, that's 112 degrees. I can now type this into my calculator and get that x squared equals 1060.710453. It's really important to keep this on your calculator screen at this stage, because you'll notice that what we found is x squared and we actually only want x. So the final step is to square root it. So I now find the square root and round it to three significant figures, and I get the answer 32.6. This was the length of the side x, so the units must be centimetres. It's always a good idea to check that your answer is reasonable, because some people forget this last step. If you think that this 1060 is the length of this side, you might suddenly realise that it's a bit big and that you've forgotten to square root. Finally, if you type this into your calculator exactly like this and don't get this answer, then your calculator is probably in the wrong mode. You need to make sure that your calculator is set to degree mode. Here's one for you to try now. The first thing to do is notice that you're looking for the length of the side LM. That's this side here, so you'll want to label that x. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. I can see that in this question I'm looking for a side and I've got the other two sides and the included angle, so I know I can use the cosine rule. I'm going to use this to help me set it up. X goes here, so that's x squared. This is equal to the other two sides squared and added together, so that's 21 squared plus 14 squared. Minus 2 times the other two sides, so that's minus 2 times 21 times 14, times by the cosine of the included angle, which is 134. Typing this into my calculator gives me that x squared equals 1045.459122. To find x, I now need to square root this number. I round it to 3 significant figures and get 32.3. This is the length of x, so the units are centimetres. Now, in the exam, you won't actually be given the formula for the cosine rule, so you need to make sure that you've remembered it. I'd now like you to try this question. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here's the answer. We've now looked at how to find a side using the cosine rule, and it's reasonably straightforward as long as you memorise this formula. What we're going to look at now is finding the size of an angle using the cosine rule. This is a little bit more difficult. Before I take you through this question, we need to look at the formula that we would use for finding an angle using the cosine rule. Now you've got two choices. You can either memorise this formula, as well as memorising this one for a side, or you can learn to get this formula from the one that you've already memorised for finding a side. So this is the formula that we've already memorised for finding the length of a side. I need to rearrange this to make cos A the subject, because cos A is the part with the angle. So the first move is to take this to this side and this to this side. So I get 2bc cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Now to make cos A the subject, I just need to divide by 2bc. So I've got b squared plus c squared minus a squared divided by 2bc. So remember, you definitely need to learn this formula. You can then either learn this one as well, or learn how to get it from the original formula. So going back to our question, we want to find the size of angle PQR. PQR is this angle here. I'm going to call that x. Now the two sides that make the included angle are this one and this one. That tells me that these two are B and C, and this one is A. I now substitute into the formula. So cos of the angle I'm looking for, which is x, is equal to b squared. I said that that was going to be that one, plus c squared, that's the other one that's attached to the included angle, minus a squared, that's the side opposite to the angle. This is divided by 2 times b, which is that number, times c, which is that number. When I type this into my calculator, I need to put brackets here and here, and here and here. Typing this in gives me that cos x is equal to 0.7307692308. It's really important to keep this on your calculator because we now need to find x. We find x by doing the inverse cos, so we press Shift cos for this answer. We get 43.0, which I've rounded to 3 significant figures. Because this is the size of an angle, the units must be degrees. The important thing to remember for this is that the angle tells you which are the two sides B and C, because it must be included. Some people like to label, so this would be B, this is C, and of course that makes this one A. Once you've got this, you just need to substitute the values into your memorised formula. Here's one for you to try. I've put the formula for you to use up here. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here's the answer. Here are 2 questions for you to try now. Remember, on the real exam, you won't be given the formula, so you need to memorise this. Now try the 2 questions. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here are the answers. Now, the best way to get good at the cosine rule is to practice, so here are 4 more questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. Here's a very challenging question for you to try now. The only clue I'm going to give you is that you're going to have to use Pythagoras as well as the cosine rule. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play. Here's the answer rounded to 3 significant figures. The first stage was to find the length of side x using the cosine rule. I get this, and I've left it like this because it's not the final answer yet. Then I use Pythagoras in this triangle to work out the size of y. I get this, and again, I've left it like this because it's not the final answer. Finally, to calculate the perimeter, I add the 4 sides of the shape together. At this point, I can round my answer off.